You want me to video record you?
No, you guys are stupid.
We're not stupid. You're stupid.
On your desk, everyone should have the poetry questions and the poetry packet. Jaylee, do you still have the cupcake queen? Okay. Cameron, do you still have the darkest evening?
No.
When did you turn it in?
Last week? No. Yeah, last week.
Like the end of the week?
Yeah.
Because these were printed on the 9th.
There.
So that would have been Thursday. So if you turned it in on Friday.
I remember we came to the lab to type one of our paragraphs, but I don't know if it was last week. It was sometime at the end of last week.
What do you want?
Alan's not here. Blake.
Yes, I do.
Do I have one? You still have cover up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get it and
Don't talk to me like that.
Huh?
Don't talk to me like that.
Talk to you like what?
That.
What's that?
I don't sound like. I don't sound like that. What? 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 Do you have a problem? I do not. What are you looking at now?
He's got a.
Do you want to be in a video? You guys want to be in a video?
No, a video.
The video that's playing right now?
Josh does.
What's up, bitch?
Okay. We're going to go through this What is Poetry worksheet tomorrow.
I'm going to tape this whole
going
class.
to give you a longer list of terms. The terms will be, it will be some repetition because most of these terms will be on the list that you get tomorrow. We will go through those definitions again, so you'll get some repetition. Repetition is good, it helps you remember. Plus, we will give you some, we is me and the mouse in my pocket. We'll give you some examples of these as well, because today we're just going to go over these definitions. Depending on time, we'll get through most of them. In earlier classes, we got as far as online video, we didn't really talk about anything after that. So we won't necessarily talk about all of them today. We'll do most of our discussion of the terms tomorrow. So looking at what is poetry, we go all the way back to the beginning. And look at the tools.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I need you to go out in the hall, and I need.
I need to go out in the hall too.
No, I need my two people who were gone yesterday.
Oh, me.
No. Yeah, Selena and Jaylee.
What? Do you have a problem?
No, you were
Do
here.
you want to deal with it on our own personal
Okay, so
time?
what?
I'm not stupid. Stop
Yes,
calling
there
me
will be a
stupid,
test on
stupid.
poetry.
What are you looking at?
Stupid.
Turn around.
Definitions tomorrow, will there be, are they gonna be due the next day?
No, we'll discuss it tomorrow.
Alright, I
Okay,
don't wanna do this.
all right. So, with what tools do poets play? Okay, so we start with the term imagination because when we're with this paragraph, and this is in the first paragraph, the paragraph ends by talking about the fact that the poets play by using their imagination. So their tools come from their imagination, and we know that in order to be a successful writer, be it a short story writer or a poet, that you have to have an imagination. Now, I have to say that both are difficult, whether you are writing prose, short stories, essays, etc., novels, but in order to be a poet, you have to be able to say a lot in very little space. So, some may say that it is much more difficult to be a poet than it is to be a prose writer. Now, while using their imaginations, what are the three things that are listed in this paragraph that they must draw from their imaginations in order to be successful in poetry writing? Gio?
I'll tell you why.
Why what?
I'll tell you one.
Oh, what? Go for it.
Imagery. right?
Well, yes, so we'll talk more about imagery.
But we're on number 2.
No, we're still on number 1 because there are 3 things that are
Their
listed.
imagination.
Already, oh, who said it? Graded. Words,
Rhymes and rhythms.
words, rhymes, and rhythms. Okay, so from their imaginations, poets draw words, rhymes, and rhythms. Now, with their words, we're going to talk about this concept of puns. We're going to talk about the concept of imagery. With rhymes, we won't talk a lot about rhymes so much today, but we'll go into a great detailed discussion about rhymes later. Many of you will probably tell me in your definition, if I were to ask you that poetry must have rhyme in order to be poetry, and I will contradict you in the fact that there are lots of poems, lots of great poems, that do not have rhyme at all. So rhyming is not a requirement. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you all right at the moment. Rhyming is not a requirement for poetry at all, but it does help accentuate the experience of poetry if you have rhymes. As long as the rhyme is not forced. Because I think a lot of you can agree that some of your lyrics, because we can all agree, I think that song lyrics are a form of poetry writing. Want me to get that out of your ear before I take it? Can we all agree that song lyrics are a form of poetry writing?
Yeah.
That's not mine.
Like,
Say yours.
Not all songs, but
like Drake.
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Drake, but
Because I'm using it as a backup.
okay.
That doesn't make sense.
By and large, if you sample music, you will find poetry of your contemporary culture. You still have poets who simply sit and write poetry and then publish it in a dry format, meaning it's not going to have any sound to it. But by and large, we're in a society where our poets are taking their words and putting it to sound. What?
Would you consider rap as like a poetry thing?
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
They said Drake is the mastermind in poetry.
You shouldn't shut up. I'm talking to her.
What did you do to my hair?
Oh.
Do I think that
No,
some
I mean, just like-
forms of that there are rappers who can be poets? Yes. Do I think that?
Lil Wayne. Yeah, he's a
Okay, stop shouting out rappers. Can we look at one genre and discount it entirely as being poetry? No. Can we say that there are obviously going to be examples from a genre where it has gotten to the point where, seriously, it's just whatever? Then yeah, I see your point in that. Yeah, there's not every song is poetry, but there are going to be other valuable qualities. I mean, aside from it depends on what you're singing about. That where there are going to be valuable qualities. I mean, the whole. I think there are. I don't think it's poetry necessarily when you have your rap offs or whatever they call them.
freestyle.
Whatever they, yeah. I don't necessarily think that that's poetry,
I can freestyle.
but I think that there are very valuable qualities that are going on there.
Writing poems.
He just like says words that don't really rhyme. He can rap.
Look at my skinny.
Okay, again, we're not gonna go into randomly naming.
I'm fat. Look at that. Yeah, look, fat.
Okay, guys. Aaron, turn around. We're not just gonna start shouting people out.
You're skinny.
What number are we on?
we're just, right now, we're just kinda talking about,
Number one still.
yeah, okay.
Hey, shut up.
Yeah, because at this point, this isn't about just rapidly going through this is about an
Explaining
open,
it and understanding it, you know?
this is an open discussion in regard to poetry in general and relating it back to the concept that,
You were understanding it and
Are we
believing
gonna
it,
have to
right?
write a poem?
Because
Why does it matter? Probably, we'll probably have to.
sit down.
Watch.
I'm using myself. You just gotta sit down. Okay, Brayden, Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Please read for us the 2 examples of tongue twisters from the packet. Yeah, unless you wanna go freestyle.
I sell seashells by the sea.
Okay, Daryl,
I said that.
so help me, if you shout something out without me saying your name first, I'm done. And I'm going to give you detention for distracting in class. Give me that. Yes, and what's the second one?
Sister Susie's so.
Can we just write down anything that's a tongue twister? To be honest, it doesn't have to be from the story.
You have a question?
What we have to.
Daryl?
Does it have to be from the story?
This is going on.
No.
No. Yeah, it is.
Okay, so, Brayden, given the 2 examples you just read for us, what is a way that we can describe tongue twisters? How can we define them? Huh? Well, what is the common characteristic of tongue twisters? Did I call on you? There it is. Okay, tongue twisters. If you want to define or describe a tongue twister, you're simply going to say that in order to be a tongue twister, they're going to have the same initial consonant sound, and at least most of the words. And that is the same definition for alliteration. So tongue twisters are essentially the epitome of alliteration. All right, puns. Blake, would you please read for us Motto for a Doghouse, because this poem gives us both examples of punning.
Okay. I love this little house because it offers after dark a pause for rest, a rest for pause, a place to moor my barge.
Very good. All right, looking at that poem,